Yeah, well, that didn't work out quite so well for me. Hey y'all, APG Jamie here. And today brings us hashtag 4th Art Saturday with the theme of history. Y'all, you know the season. Guess what history we're going to talk about? Yeah. So please watch while I tell you about some history you may already know or not. Halloween, All Hallows Eve, the night before All Saints' Day, is an ancient celebration of sorts, okay? You know, when they can't figure out, archaeologists, scientists, people can't figure out what people did or why they did something, they always say it was a religious thing. We don't really know, y'all. It's all guesstimates. So anyway, Halloween dates way back to the Celtics or Celtics, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Okay, they celebrated something called shaman. They would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts and goblins. I don't know why this always seemed to take place in the harvest season, but you know, changing of the equinox, vernal nox, whatever nox, who's there. Anyway, um, they wore costumes to ward off ghosts and goblins. I don't know what kind of costumes they could have had. Oh, they probably had masks and stuff. Yeah, probably that. But like most olden day pagan festivals and celebrations, some of them, parts of them, have found their way through tradition into modern day. Okay? Some of them have changed names and some have changed their general meanings. Okay? Even, you know, we don't even know what they were originally for. We just pretend we do. So for the United States, because that's where I are, the commercial aspect of our holidays and whatnot seems to be based on product, okay? Not necessarily a sense of tradition or any meaning behind it. And as you know, in the United States, we like to do everything in excess. More is more butter. And as a general rule, it's not a celebration of the devil or the dark side, unless it's something you already do, just saying. You know, because, yeah, just saying. So, way back then, besides wearing their costumes, people would carve turnips, because that's, you know, the product they had, the vegetable they had, and they would put candles inside to ward off evil spirits. Now we have pumpkins and battery operated lights, okay? We've come a little ways. On October 31st in the evening, nighttime even, young peoples, not necessarily really young children, would go out to socialize, requesting food or drink, you know, usually sweets. It kind of always seems to have gone that way. It was thought that if you looked like a goblin or ghost or something creepy, those things would leave you alone because, you know, you must be one of them. Costumes for kids could range from cute and hokey to creepy and bordered on scary. Like the ghosts and goblins of old, and pirates and ballerinas and fairies, they now include cartoon or movie characters. They go around ringing doorbells of houses that have the porch lights turned on and saying trick or treat. Wherein you choose to give them candy or whatever to avoid being tricked. Say, like having your house hit with eggs, or even worse. Mostly Halloween came and went without much trouble. Then in the latter part of the 1900s, someone decided to spike some apples with razor blades and needles and pixie sticks, a type of candy, with poison. So then it became dangerous. Warnings to parents and children to not eat anything until everything was examined closely for foul play. Boy, howdy, do I remember telling that to my children. Anyway, at one time there were even hospitals that offered free x-rays to ensure there were no foreign objects in the candy. Guy in those buckets, pumpkin heads of candy. So with the advent of removing holidays from the school systems, it became more about harvest festivals and fall-type costumes. No more handmade treats of popcorn balls and caramel apples or caramel apples, depending on how you pronounce it. There is a lot of customization of candies and treats for kids now with dietary issues and special needs, which is a really good thing. Children, or, well, really their parents, prefer the kids to do trick-or-treating at malls, in neighborhood community centers, having trunk and treat, or private parties. As the adults get more outrageous with sexy costumes, oh man, and gore, it's no wonder parents of young children are not going out door to door anymore. Not to mention, but I will, this whole plague thing we've had the last few years. And in general, the chaos of society these days, y'all. I almost suspect that if it weren't for manufacturers selling candy, costumes, and all manner of Halloween decor, napkins, for example, that the tradition would maybe quickly be lost. Did you know there are even some people that think Halloween should be changed from October 31st to the last Saturday in October? Now, granted, it makes sense, okay, but I don't know if we're quite willing to let go of that. That may be a harder battle than changing the time in the fall and the spring and the jump and the fall back and the la 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 la. Which is going to be stopped, y'all. Anyway, y'all saw I'm making candy corn ATCs. ATC official size is 2.5 by 3.5, orientation of your choice. These do measure no wider than 2.5 and no taller than 3.5. Therefore, they qualify as official ATC sizes. Okay? Candy corn, y'all. Pockets. Put pockets on it, because, you know I would. Speaking of candy corn, how do y'all feel about candy corn? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you just tolerate it? Well, it came out in the 1880s, actually. It's a type of mellow cream. It's a mixture of gelatin, oil, sugar, or corn syrup, or honey, and vanilla. It's a kind of marshmallow sort of candy. I know, I never would have guessed it, that one, I said kind of. Who knew? Back then, the 1880s, before our time, all sorts of candy companies were making use of that type of slurry. That's what they call it. They call it a slurry. They would take it and cook it and all that, and they would shape it into pumpkins or turnips or whatnot. Remember the turnips back in the way olden days? Well, this one company made it into the shape of a kernel of corn. No, it's kind of a kernel of corn, y'all. See, back then, in the 1880s, remember, people didn't really eat corn. People didn't. It was a food for livestock. Like cows, pigs, chickens, farm animals. So candy corn itself was a novelty. It was a funny joke that people ate it and liked it, because they did, back then. So quickly enough, it became a standard for the fall season. Maybe that's why they put the orange and yellow on there. Anyway, Halloween. Please note that candy corn is not vegetarian friendly, but it is fat free. A big handful, now these are adult handfuls, okay? There's about 28 grams of sugar and 140 calories. Of course, it depends on your handful, how big your hand is and all that. Those that eat it tend to eat it in one of two ways. It's weird what people do studies on, y'all, just saying. Okay, either by the whole kernel or by nibbling off each little colored section. Now, when I was a kid, that's how I did it. It was more funner that way. It just was more funner. So, luckily or unluckily, depending on how you want to look at it, that back in the 1950s, candy corn had brought about a big change in the way the FDA and the use of artificial colorants came about. Okay? Sadly, after one Halloween season, kids all over the U.S. became sick with stomach issues, rashes, and hives. Some of them was pretty sick. It was found that the artificial colorant, orange #1, was a coal tar dye, and it was poisonous. They knew it was a coal tar dye, but they didn't necessarily realize that it was poisonous, y'all. Now they found out. Now, coal tar dyes as artificial colorants were used in lots of products, not just food, but also hair products. But due to the FDA, not anymore. Not anymore, okay? So, did you know if you mix candy corn with salted peanuts, it sort of tastes like a payday candy bar? Okay, well, it does to me anyway. Putting on some paper dolls, because I love my paper dolls. I hope you're enjoying the hop. Please don't forget to check out the links in the description box below and click on the first one. It will take you to the next in the list, and do that in each successive video, and sooner or later you will make your way back to me, in which case you've seen all the hops. Okay? Gotta put stuff in the pocket. Oh, this was fun. It was a little annoying at first because I couldn't get my monoprint plate to do the way I wanted it to do. It just wasn't working for me. But anyway, we got it figured out. Sometimes the old-fashioned way. Paint and brush. Ta-da! Photo montage. So tune in next time when we examine Festivus, a totally made-up holiday in December by a made-up character on an old canceled sitcom. But Festivus has actually became a holiday of sorts. I'm just kidding, y'all. I hope you enjoyed watching the making of the artist trading cards and maybe learned a thing or two about our candy corn history. Thanks for watching, and happy arting, y'all. Children of the candy corn.